Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with something that is incredibly cool. We've got ourselves a brand new company that I have never reviewed before to take a look at. This is from Cretaceous Creations, and this is actually a collaboration between two different people, one of which being Henry Gilbert, who is the painter of the products, and Luciano Lambre, who is actually the sculptor of the products, and they kind of collaborate to create these, and they sell them on eBay for sure. I don't know if you can buy them outside of eBay. I have to find that out. But that's actually where I discovered them, and then kind of, did a little digging and found them on Instagram and contacted them and everything. But here we can very clearly see what we've got is the Jurassic World Rebirth D-Rex, the Distortus Rex, their version of it, which is insanely cool looking. They really did a great job on this figure. Not to mention the fact that they create these to look, pretty similar to the way they look on screen, but they also create them in their own stylized way, where it almost looks like if the D-Rex were animated. I don't know exactly how to term it, but it kind of has that sort of a look to it, and I think it looks really cool because of that. But we're actually going to take it off of the base here for a moment so that we can take a closer look. I'm also going to readjust the camera and then bring this bad boy up. So you can see, starting here in the head sculpt looks really cool. It definitely has a very mean look to the face, exactly as you would expect for a D-Rex, because the D-Rex is very mean in Jurassic World Rebirth. You can see we do have the nostrils sculpted out, the eye area as well is sculpted out quite nicely, a little bit of fine detail here and there in between. We can again see the fact that a lot of the areas of the body are smoothed out again, which is one of the reasons why I say it almost looks like an animated version of the D-Rex, and that's so cool to me. But they did a really good job of painting this and applying variation of color with some nice dry brushing and everything that actually moves up and over the entire body. We do have like a brownish tone for the primary body color, and then we have a white, a very bright white for the lower jaw that moves down along the underside as well. We also have a darker tone there around the eye area, and that does feature a nice orangish tone. The teeth are all sculpted out, of course, as well, painted with a kind of like a light gray. It's definitely a separate tone of color compared to what we see here on the lower jaw. We do also have some osteoderms and stuff poking up here and there as you move through the course of the figure. As you move up here into the top of the head, again, a few more osteoderms. And then as you lead back here into the back of the neck, you can see the kind of like ridges and sort of like scoots that move along the back of the head of the D-Rex and the back of the neck. Very interesting design that they had given this guy, and I think they've replicated it really quite nicely. And what's really impressive to me is that this D-Rex figure was being sold before Rebirth even came out, so they already had a really good understanding of the sculpt and the appearance of the D-Rex prior to the film's release. But as you move down, you can see again some more creases and stuff here and there, some more of the really nice dry brushing. We've also got osteoderms popping up here and there as you move down through the body. We have the larger arms here sculpted really nicely. We've got the elbow right there. Again, all sorts of little areas of fine detail included within, as well as the osteoderms and stuff poking up here and there. Very impressive paintwork. The way that they've kind of dry brushed out all of the detail looks really good. We obviously have some scoots moving down the fingers of the D-Rex. We've also got the claws sculpted out, looking very nice and sharp and genuine, painted with a black tone of color. But we do have those alternate arms here on the underside of the D-Rex, the more T-Rex-ish sort of arms sculpted out again in pretty much the same way, of course painted with the white tone of color. You've got the claws sculpted out looking nice and sharp again, and then of course painted with a black, which does look really good. As you move back up into the body, you can see the stomach right here, a few more osteoderms. You've also got areas like this that kind of almost look like small injuries that have been applied to the D-Rex. As we lead further back, you start to kind of see the spinal column pick up and poke up there on the back of the dinosaur. We can see the musculature of the leg as you move down the rear leg. Again, the knee as well. In the front of the leg, you've got some more osteoderms, some more of that really nice dry brushing leading down, which which continues to do a great job of highlighting all of the detail, including the scoots here on the rear foot. We again have the claws sculpted out and painted with a black tone of color. And then we lead back up into the tail. You can see kind of, again, what looks to be maybe another little scar right there. A few more osteoderms as you lead out through the rest of the tail. You've got a little bit of a curve to the tail of the D-Rex as you lead out. And then when we take a look at it from the opposing side, for the most part, it's kind of in the same position as what we see on the first side. There is a slight turn, slight tilt to the head right there, which you can see just a little bit toward its left. But again, they've done a really good job, honestly, of painting this, where they've used such a nice dark tone as the base color and then dry brush the detail out really nicely, that it gives it such an evil and kind of eerie look. But as you lead back here, you've got all sorts of skin wrinkles and folds and stuff as you lead down into the lower part of the neck. You also can see that this front arm here, this front hand, is kind of down on its knuckles as it's sort of walking along, and the fingers are bent. So that's one of the biggest differences on this side compared to the first side of the D-Rex here. We can also see the arm is back a little bit further compared to what we see on the other side, and the rear leg is also a little bit further forward compared to what we see on the other side. The foot is also slightly tilted out toward us, but again, sculpt-wise, everything looks pretty close to the same. Paint-wise, same deal as you lead out into the tail, and the tail again does curve away from us just a little bit, and you do have a little bit more detail here moving along the underside as we have that nice white tone that leads the entire way through on the underside of the D-Rex. And it does come with a pretty cool base. It is like a translucent sort of a look. You can kind of see my sign back there through it, sort of, so you can see there's a translucency to it. But I like the fact that they've kind of given it like a scratched up, sort of a dirty and gritty look and feel. There's also cracks in the base that you can see. Again, pretty much what I would expect when it comes to a D-Rex. And you can see the same thing here for the underside, except we do also have the Cretaceous Creations logo down here and the fact that it is the Distortus Rex. But obviously we've got two pegs here that our D-Rex then stands on. There are two peg holes on the undersides of the feet. So you just have to apply those. Just have to find the other one. There it is. And then our D-Rex is now on the base and standing there looking quite awesome. As far as the size goes, for a length, you are looking at about 7¼ inches or a little bit over 18, maybe just slightly less than 18.5 centimeters. And then for a height, a little bit over 4 inches or right around 10.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our very cool Cretaceous Creations D-Rex. And as you can see, it's not a massive figure, but it is quite nicely sized. It's not small by any means, but again, you very much so can see that it is a bit smaller than Mr. Papo T-Rex, showing you that, again, it's not gigantic. If we bring in another very stylized version of the D-Rex, you can see we have the Pop Funko version here next to the Cretaceous Creations version. And what I like here is that you can see that the Cretaceous Creations version has almost a little bit of a Pop Funko sort of a look to it, but just of a way higher quality and way more realistic look. You know, the Pop Funko version looks kind of awkward and strange, whereas the Cretaceous Creations version looks super evil and impressive. Then for another D-Rex comparison, we also have the larger version from Mattel, which very clearly is a whole lot bigger. And we've even got that goofy knockoff version of the D-Rex stepping in here next to the Cretaceous Creations version, again showing you just how darn nice this Cretaceous Creations D-Rex is. And then one final comparison with a Mattel Velociraptor next to the D-Rex, just kind of giving you one more idea of the size. So this brand new Cretaceous Creations Jurassic World Rebirth Distortus Rex figure is super cool, and definitely a, honestly, in my opinion, breath of fresh air when it comes to a new company arriving on my channel. I love this because it is so stylized and so different from what I often review here on the channel. I like every once in a while when you have a different company that kind of comes out of nowhere and then provides you with something that is just so cool and so high quality that it really does quite blow your mind. And I think that's exactly what I have here with this D-Rex, because not only did they give it that pretty nice looking, you know, fairly screen accurate kind of a look, they did that but with a very stylized and somewhat exaggerated look at the same time. And I think that is just, again, one of the cooler things that I've seen in quite a little while, giving the D-Rex almost, like I said earlier, they're kind of like animated kind of a look. Like it looks like a D-Rex if it were in like an 80s cartoon or something. And I mean that in the best way possible. It does have that fine detail that kind of gives it that look, but still a really highly detailed and very impressive appearance as a whole. On top of that, it's also got a nice, quite intimidating, honestly, pose. The head and face and everything looks so creepy and eerie and mean, and the fact that the arm is kind of picking up off of the ground like it's about to reach in and grab whoever or whatever is in front of it is just a really cool visual for the D-Rex. And on top of that, the paintwork is really well done on this. There's some nice variation of color, nice dry brushing techniques used to really help bring out some of the detail, giving it a similar look to the way we see it on screen, but still in their own version, like their own style, which I absolutely enjoy. So if you are interested in purchasing one of these, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that, again, on eBay. So make sure you check that link. Definitely pick this up, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.